There we go. There we go. All right, Kel. I'm still gonna ask you to tell me when you see us.
Fool, we see you.
No, on the Facebook, fool.
On
Oh,
the
I was gonna
Facebook,
say,
like when you see me right here, this
it's,
dude.
it's always a delay on there. I got you.
Yeah, it's a short delay. It's a short delay. I'm just waiting on that official so I can push this play button. I bet it's there though. Just want the confirmation.
They're just looking crazy right now when everybody can see us. I'm 100% positive, looking crazy.
100%. Just
You
sitting
gonna be
there.
the crazy one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be the crazy one. I'm the one that's telling them that I know they see us 46 seconds into this show. And we sitting there waiting on Preston's
We got one person viewing, so I know
T-Mobile his
oh, I'm negative.
his
T-Mobile
Nextel settings.
T-Mobile ain't
You say
even around no
T-Mobile
more.
next,
Hey, this is
boy.
about-
Let
hey,
me tell you,
it's a perspective. Here we go.
Ben Shepherd, what up?
Joint so fresh, you gotta Shazam it.
Coming through loud and clear.
It's Power 102 Jam.
It's our perspective. When perception comes to truth, respecting you won't lose. Right or wrong is what you choose. Perspective. It's just the point of view, the odds and the outcome based on how you move. It's all perspective. When perception trumps the truth, respecting you won't lose. Right or wrong is what you choose. Perspective. It's just the point of view, the odds and the outcome based on how you move.
He say those odds and them outcomes based on how you move,
Yeah, that's a
not
fact.
how they move, but how you move.
Right.
I could have whispered that one, boy. The moment thing was on super low.
Was it low?
Oh yeah.
You know.
Hey, I heard it perfect. See, that's what I'm saying, Kelsey.
But you got
You're
the,
the
you got
problem, bro.
You got the Mickey Mouse headphones on though. That's the problem.
First of all, these are Beats by Dre.
Oh yeah, you wrote them on there. But anyway, welcome to the Perspective 217 though.
Absolutely. It's Perspective 217 on this nice, fine Thursday evening. It is June 10th. It is my partner TC's birthday, man. Happy birthday. He's
Happy birthday.
84 today. I mean, 48 today. And, you know, I told him we was going to shout him out a little bit. He's going to eat him a nice little steak dinner at the crib and enjoy his day, right? So, as y'all see, we got like a face that we hadn't seen on a perspective in about 2 years. Maybe the last time
it ain't been that long.
Maybe the last time we seen him on a perspective.
You ain't heard that dog crackling voice.
It ain't been that long.
It was during the Neal Street Blues live performance.
Yeah, that's I mean, give or take here or there.
That's the last time we had this brother on a perspective, man. And this is where we started.
Right. We here, baby.
We started in Urbana.
Yeah.
In the studio.
Yeah.
The three amigos here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
With their perspective. We had the comedy, which is still, that voice still make you laugh.
Still there. Still there. Ain't changed. Ain't nothing left.
But back then we was giving announcements and all that stuff because
hey, you remember that with Pete?
We gotta give the announcement. Pete,
eat some fumble through the papers. Remember that?
Where are they?
I got it in
We
now.
get some papers.
Just for a throwback for Pete.
Oh,
man.
these the wrong papers.
These are all those papers.
These wrong names.
I'm a little older now. These are my these are the Jesus. Colonoscopy papers.
Oh no,
these the wrong ones. These the wrong ones.
Oh man.
But hey, those are announcements as well.
Yeah, colonoscopy.
Get your body work on. Get your body work.
We're gonna jump on right in here because y'all know how this hour go by, right? So
yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and start the way we always do. Kel, how your week been, bro?
Man, week's been busy, brother. I keep saying this over and over again, man. It is what it is, man. We are into the second week in the summer, man, and them guns are here. You know, we've had some homicides here. We've had a ton of shootings, and unfortunately, man, that's just kind of where we are, man. I've been kind of looking at, excuse me, CNN and some other TV networks and stuff, man. Just kind of, looking at the pure numbers that are out, man. We're at 261 or 262 mass shootings this year already. 261 or two. I can't remember. I don't know. Today was 62 or today was 62, 61, but we're here, man, and the headlines that I've been reading is how are the cities getting prepared for a possible bloody summer?
Mhm.
Whether it's a major metropolitan city or a college town like we are here, man, it's here, it's prevalent, it's not going anywhere. So, my work week has been busy, just trying to, keep the community safe, keep the family safe, and trying to take all that in, man, and process it and download it as fast as I can, man, and get prepared for the next day, man. But all in all, man, 10 toes down, man. I'm blessed. Let's keep it moving.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Word.
So, DJ Aaron, Mr. Aaron Harris himself, these past 2 years, I can't even say how your week been. We need a synopsis, right? I know you got A Squared jumping off. For those of you who may not have,
which we haven't been on yet.
Which we have not been on yet, but that's the discussion has.
We gonna get you on. We gonna get you on before this 100th episode. That's a fact. We will definitely have y'all on for sure.
My dog.
So tell us, man, how's your past 2 years been?
I will say it's been it. I will say that it's been positive because what I've decided in my life is that I am going to be positive because we're always going to have things in our life that go wrong, unplanned, things like that. But I've recently understood that we create a lot of negative thoughts and things in our own heads. And I mean, nobody comes to you with a negative, you know what I mean? Like put negative energy on you. Right. It's you accepting things and making it negative, which makes you think negatively. So what I've done is accept whatever happens to whatever it is.
Right.
And even though we've had some downs, I would say that I wouldn't even call it downs. I would say it's learning experiences, because without those experiences, I wouldn't know how to express that to the next person, the next DJ that's coming underneath me. Like, yo, hey, my man, you're a DJ. Cool. You're doing your thing, but make sure you have your business in order, because if you don't have your business in order, you're going to encounter a lot more obstacles.
Absolutely.
If you are a business owner, make sure you have your LLC in order now. Don't wait, just do it now and get your paperwork, everything in order. So all of this has been experience and learning processes, and I think this has probably been the best few years of my life, to be honest with y'all, because I learned that I have to have business in order, and I have to understand that obstacles are it's going to be something that happens no matter which way you look at it, right?
Right.
It's going to be something.
The most important thing I think you just said was, you didn't say it in these words, but you control you.
Yes.
You control how you feel about a situation. You can't control what happens around you.
No.
But you can control how you respond to that action, that stimulus. And that's so important with everything that you do in life. Now, Gail, I see you.
Yep.
I want to say something real quick, man, to our viewers and listeners. And, we appreciate y'all Perspective 217. We always say this, Power 102 Gems, hits 107.3, man. For those who are just tuning in, who hasn't seen this face or haven't heard this voice, this is not a random guy, that we just brought on today. Today for me, man, this is more of a
reunion,
give the roses while we're here a moment, because this man that we have with us, which is our brother, is a guy that believed in us. You know, if it wasn't for, you know, Aaron right here, DJ Aaron, and, you know, having a vision, man, and opening up his platform to us, man, here at Power 102 Jams, there wouldn't be a Perspective 217. So this is family for us. You know what I'm saying? This is a man that has taken his vision and aspirations and put together a digital radio show. You know, that you can take it in your bathroom. You can take it on the walk of a park. In the walk in the park, you can do whatever you want to. Power 102 Jams. That's with a Z. We always say if you don't got that app, get that app.
Yeah. And you can listen to it anywhere, no matter where you're at. We take vacations. I was in vacation, and I'm in down in Mexico, but I know I can listen to my brothers. You know what I'm saying? Every Thursday, I know I can listen to my brothers and not be limited to whatever, you know what I'm saying, that they got going on. I know I can always listen to my brothers or whatever is going on. And that's important, man. You can listen to it everywhere and anywhere.
Absolutely, man. So I just want to give, you know, first of all, brother, you know, appreciate, man, everything, man, that you've done for us, man, and you know, allowing us to link up, and you know, we family and all, and but you know, this is just a moment for me, man, to say, man, I greatly appreciate everything you've done for us, man, and linking us up, and you know, and just moving forward. So big things coming for, you know, Power 102 Jams as well as the Perspective 217.
So, no doubt.
P, how you week been, brother?
Man, my week's been kind of iffy, man. It's been I started a new exercise with this knee situation, right? They got me doing step ups now, and it's not going well. I feel like I didn't revert it back to something that I, you know, like 2 weeks ago. That's what it feels like. I'm sorry, trying to get in.
Explain what you mean by that. Like, do you feel like you're not learning how to walk or learning how to step again, but is the obstacle of like, I know I got to take this step up, but my knee isn't
learning how to walk again. It is the key words.
Really?
I have to, because my knee's been messed up for so long. My gait has been off for years. So now with the proper knee in there, or the proper spacing and all this stuff that's in there, I have to learn how to do the heel toe stride walk. And since I was doing good until they got me doing the step up on the box and then step down from the box. And I was doing that, feeling good at first, but later on that evening, it was like a mule kicked me in my thigh. So
are you able to kick it with us tonight? That's part one.
What I'll do is I'll cane my way.
Are you saying literally, or are you just saying figuratively?
I think he's trying to be funny, right? Kick with you. I get that, right?
And as a Sigma, because I believe you are a Sigma, am I correct?
I can't do. Yes, I am. I cannot do.
Could you stroll your way through this process?
I cannot stroll my way through any. No, they'd be talking about me so bad trying to get out there.
You better be glad you are not a Q, bro, because you couldn't hop your way out of this. Man, let me stop. I'm sorry. Let me kill this in order.
Oh god.
So but okay, so we're gonna jump on in because y'all know how fast this show go, man. So hopefully
facts.
Shortly.
But you're okay. You're okay. You're getting through it.
We got a partner of mine. Yeah, my knee's all right. You know, we ain't worried about that, right? I'm taking some tramadol this evening though, because that joker, woo. I got a partner of mine, man, that when I first jumped into law enforcement, this brother was already there in Wichita, right? He had done several other things prior to that, but he was like when I jumped in and was at Patrol North in Wichita, he was the cat that they stuck me with. You know, when I say stuck me with it, you know, he wasn't my FTO at the time, but he was another cat. We used to ride 2-man cars out there, right? And we'd have to take turns driving because I get motion sickness on the side. You know what I mean? So he'd laugh at me or whatever. But I want to bring this brother in, man. I want to talk a little bit about. He's done a lot in his short life, and we're gonna bring this brother in, man, and introduce him, and let's hear a little bit about him, man. Yendis Bowling.
All right.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
What's going on, brother?
What's
Good,
going on?
good.
Yin. So we're gonna jump right on into it, bro. So
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about who is Yendis Bowling, man. I know you're from the East Coast, so
Right.
so let's start there.
Born and raised in New York City, man. Way back when. I won't divulge my age quite yet, but I was born in the 70s. Born and raised in New York. I joined the Air Force back in 1990. I did a little bit of college. My father at the time told me I had two options. I could either join the military or join the Air Force. That was it. That's what he said to me.
The military or the Air
Yeah,
Force?
that was
It's
it.
the same thing to a lot of people.
That's it. I mean,
That's pretty much.
It is what it is.
I showed my butt so much my freshman year of college. She was like, look, this ain't gonna work out. So I joined the Air Force. I did 10 years. I did not retire. I started off in Okinawa. That was my very first stop. I was there for 2.5, almost 3 years. From there, I went to Vegas. I was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base. I was there for about 4.5 years. Right around 4
That's
years.
it. That's Nevada for those who are not who just know Vegas has a strip. That's Nevada. So what we're trying to figure out now, and I do mean to cut you off, bro. I do mean that. Normally
okay.
I say I don't mean. I do mean to cut you off.
I expect
so. Coming out this month is the alien report, so we need to know what is going on. At Area 51. We need to know.
It's funny because on the not so jovial side, I have friends who work down there.
Okay.
So unfortunately,
so you're saying it's real?
Well, I'll put it to you this way:
classified, huh?
There's more than one range.
So we pulling up. Pulling up.
So I can tell you, and because of my job, I have one of those jobs. It's not rocket science. It's just I'll take it from a movie. I just have a unique set of skills, right? And so it's afforded me
equalizer.
No.
Unique set of skin. That is Liam Neeson. I know my movies now. I have a specific set of skills.
So really, your closet consists of like black bags and trash bags?
No, Kels, you a snitch. You a snitch. You over here snitching, bro.
I'm going movies, bro. I'm going movies.
Right.
Visionary.
Right. I wish it was that complex, but it's really not. I've just been afforded to see and do a few things that the average person wouldn't see and do. And it didn't require me to go to school for half my life. And I do have a couple of clearances that's not afforded to the average person. How about that?
Okay, salute.
So Air Force.
Yeah, correct.
What are some of the places the Air Force took you to?
Let's see. Like I said, I started in Okinawa. I was at Kadena for 2 years. I went to Vegas. I was there for 4.5. I went to Turkey. I was at Incirlik, southern Turkey for another 2.5 years. I went to White Sands Missile Range. I was there for about 2 years. During that 10-year time span, I've done several TDYs. So I've been to Germany, I've been to Spain, I've been to Africa, I've been to I touched on England, Russia. Let's see, I'm missing one or two. It'll hit me here in a minute. But I've been to several places that took me TDY for short stints. Most notably, recently, well, let me back up some. I got out of the Air Force in 2000, at which time I was an aircraft dispatcher for an airline that's no longer here. I still have that certificate. I work for the FAA. I've done that for 6 years. I've sold insurance. I'm like a jack of all trades, right? So then it took me to my law enforcement career, and I did that for about 3 years here in Wichita. I was also in the reserve. I did some reserve time here in Wichita as well at McConnell Air Force Base. During that time frame, they didn't have my job in the reserve because I went to switch. I was doing a completely different job, hated it. So I looked at doing my old job. They didn't have it. An inspector came through for the active duty guys over here, and he handed me a flyer. He said, "You might be interested in this." So I took a look at the flyer. It was a company that had just kind of got started within the last 2 years prior. I gave them a call. I was in my uniform. It was lunchtime. I was in my apartment. He left a message on my answer machine. I called him back. He told me, "Would you be interested in going to Afghanistan to make 6 figures?" I said, "Sure. When do I need to be there?" He said, "It's ASAP." So that day I left, I remember talking to Preston, a couple of my beat buddies, and told them, "What would y'all do?" And he said, how come you still in your uniform?" So that was 2004, late summer, early fall. I did that for about 2 years. I ruptured my Achilles tendon. It brought me back to the States for about another 3 or 4 years. Had the opportunity to go back once I healed up, but I didn't take it because my kids at the time were pretty young. So I grinded out for another 4 years. You know how life is. It throws you signals and gives you signs that maybe you need to be doing something different. Got the opportunity to go back. That was about 2010. So from 2010 up until about 3 months ago, I was in southern Afghanistan as a contractor for the United States Air Force.
So you just mentioned all those. I just want to say, you mentioned so many different countries, places that you've been at. I just want to know from your perspective, like, what was that like? You know, being in different places, different cultures, and everything. People always talk about, like, when they're in the military, all the negative things that they've seen, and you know, stuff like that. But what were some of the positive vibes that you got being, you know, in different countries, different cultures, all that stuff? What was some of that?
My personal perspective, my personal observation, I think it depends on how you approach those countries, how you deal with the citizens. Being in uniform, most countries automatically going to feel intimidated by the United States military. That's generally, and we're not always there. It's kind of like being a police officer, right? When you go to somebody's house, you're not going there to tell them, "Hello, how are you? How's your day?" That's generally not why you're there, right? It's normally it's on a call. You're under. It's stressful. You're under some kind of emergency. So generally, it's the same thing with the military, just on a different level. I think going as a civilian, it's a little bit different. And I think it's how you approach it. If you look at it and think of it in a real bad way, you're going to get bad vibes. I mean, that's just the way it is. Sometimes learn the culture, learning the language. I was never in one place long enough to become fluent. I'll use Germany as an example. Absolute beautiful country. The farther I got away from more of the culture that I experienced, I was only there for a total of, at that time, I want to say I've been to Germany several times. Each time was probably for anywhere between 2 weeks and about 3 months. So it just depends on, it varied from 94 to about 2003. I've been there several times. I've been to Spain a couple of times. You know, and during those times, and I'm single now, so I'll be a little frank. You know, the women. I'll put it to you this way: the women generally are open arms. So what happens is, especially within your age group, right, within your demographic. So the older generation typically don't like Americans coming in and taking over. That's a lot of, especially when I was in Okinawa, that was a big thing. And there were other things that happened there. That's a different show, different time. I'll explain that later. But if you go into those countries, generally you have to be a little bit humble, and the willingness to kind of learn the language, learn the lingo, right? And don't be the obnoxious American that goes there and wants to just take over, right? And wants to talk about how bad some of these countries are, because a lot of them are third world countries compared to our economics and how we flow. A lot of them are, you know, third world countries compared to the way we live, especially way back in the mid to late 90s.
So let me jump in here real quick. Yeah.
Okay.
So Now your resume is pretty solid and it's pretty lengthy.
I appreciate
And
it.
so, and I know you've done a couple of tours in some countries 2 or 3 times.
Right.
I want to take you back to the time frame, man, when you were, let's say, in your, I would say your 5 to 10 year range, right? Well, let's go 2 to 6 year range, right? When you kind of ultimately you kind of knew, you know what I'm saying, and you kind of learning kind of what your role is, whatever.
Sure.
What was the response, or what was the vibe like for a brother, right, coming from New York, popping up in Germany, Turkey, I mean Okinawa? Like what was that vibe? Was it like, I mean, was it receptive, or was it like, oh, here come this so and so? I mean, how was that vibe?
I wish I had something bad to tell you. I wish I could say something negative that would deter you from ever visiting those countries. Me personally, I have nothing bad to say. I always made friends, and maybe that was me part of being a New Yorker. Maybe that was part of it. A lot of its personality. I wouldn't have called myself an intellect, but I think I was always open to the idea of learning somebody else's culture, right? Learning the way they move in life, the way that they different. It was different, totally different than the way I was raised, and the things that I saw growing up. So I was always eager to learn. So I did the touristy stuff at first, and I'll give you a perfect example when I went to Turkey. They don't keep up their cathedrals and castles and beaches the way that Europe does, right? Mainland, we're talking about Germany and Spain and England. Those places, you walk into the cathedrals there, they have gold painted on the roofs. Like, they keep up everything about it is picturesque. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm gonna jump around, so you got to bear with me, okay? I went to Thailand 2 years ago. So we're talking about December of 2019, just before COVID hit. And I was in the water with fish I only had previously seen in an aquarium or on National Geographic, literally swimming around me in the water. The water was that clear. I don't know if you can see the picture behind Preston, but the water looked like that. That's what the water looked like in Thailand. So they have several places. I was in Phuket. That's where I stayed. Everything was in a walking distance, and the sand looked like powder. It was an experience I can't even explain to you. We're driving up into the mountains of Thailand, elephants on the side of the road. You got Buddhists it's just an experience I can't even express. But with them, they're receptive to people who want to learn their lingo. It's tough to be able to describe in the words, and I tell people all the time, you have to get up and go. With COVID, it's been tough. So that distance that people want to keep kind of gets a little bit extended, I think, with the vaccine and everything going on. They're opening up their borders again, right? One of the places that I want to go, that I've never been, not really, 2 places actually. One, my lineage, my mother's from the Port of Spain and Trinidad. So that's one place I got to get to the Caribbean and visit all of the chain of islands, right? But Africa's a place I've only touched down twice. I went to Gambia once, and I went to Senegal, which essentially is kind of one and the same, and then Côte d'Ivoire, which is all on the west coast of Africa, which a lot of us are from there, right? So the Ivory Coast. And I only touched down twice. Was on some military missions. I got a chance to get in. Quick story. So I walked into a hotel once, and it was probably 2 o'clock in the morning. I get off at C-130. We land. We're tired. We get to the hotel. The tour guide / our sponsor takes us to a hotel. He opens the door, and you hear a bunch of rustling inside, but you're not really sure what it is, right? I don't know. I got my bags. I'm tired. I'm ready to lay down. He opens the door, and the window, it was literally, you open the door, and there was a window literally right there. Okay? So there were some baboons that were probably every bit of 5 feet tall, probably looked like a small adult. One was sitting on a bed, one was on a windowsill, and the other one had broken. They had a padlock on the refrigerator. Okay, broke the padlock off, and they're eating out of the refrigerator, taking water.
No,
taking
that's
food,
right.
right.
I know that's right.
So
Who
he
gonna
comes
charge
in,
them?
so he has a stick. He chases the monkeys out the room, up onto the tree that's literally right outside the room, closed the gate back, and he said, "Okay, it's good for y'all to go in the house." Like, nah, I'm good. So that first night, I slept in the hallway, no BS. I slept in the hallway, they came the next day, they changed out the padlocks. And when I tell you, it was one of the most shocking experiences. Mind you, at that point, you asked me about my time frame. I was probably in the military about 5.5 years at that point, maybe somewhere right around there. And it was an eye opener, right?
It's not an eye opener. You're a liar, and you're a liar that's lying the whole lie right now. I'm gonna tell you why.
Or not an eye out. That's normal for
I'm gonna tell
anybody.
you. I'm gonna tell. It's not normal. I'm gonna tell you what it is. He's telling us that he is from New York City, and he's talking to me about a baboon. And I took the Trenton Transit from Penn Station to Trenton, and you're talking to me about a baboon, and I'm telling you about a system of people.
Oh yeah,
staring in the sky.
He's not lying.
Waiting on a number to tell them what train to go to.
Oh yeah.
And the number comes out, and everybody runs to the train at full steam ahead with briefcases and book bags in suits.
That's a regular thing. That happens every day.
Every day.
Every day.
And not only did I say, hey, what lot? That's all I got at. Hey, what lot? I want a line. Where do I go? I'm asking them where to go.
Yeah.
And I'm taking this at 4 because my guy says don't wait until 3 or something like I'm like, bro, it's 4 o'clock. Traffic and whatever don't even start till 5. You good to I'm good.
It's insane.
I'm good to go. And you're talking to me about a baboon, and I'm talking to you about 48 people fighting for their lives to get on a train. Do you hear me?
Here's the reason why that's not foreign to me. I used to go to school. I used to go to school every day, okay, in New York. This is New York City. It's me growing up from middle school to high school, and I saw it every single day. So when I talk to people like from the Midwest and from places that are a little bit more rural, and I explain to them what it's like to live in a city of 8.9 million people condensed in one small area.
George getting scuffed.
That was just an everyday thing. Like you see P. Diddy, you see Biggie. That was like nothing. I mean, they were there. You know what I mean? You see people like the late David Letterman. Like all of these people you see on a regular basis. So for me, I was never really starstruck growing up. So when I talk to these people and you see them watch the TV and watch the late night hosts and all the guests they have, I'm like, bro, you see them on a regular basis in New York growing up back then, especially back in the 80s and 90s.
I got my church finger up. So
yeah, man.
We are talking about 3 5-foot baboons that went into a crib.
That ain't got nothing to do with the concrete jungle.
And opened
out
a locked refrigerator that had a padlock on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a person who was foreign to the land, not foreign to the land, but they live in that land, chose to use a stick.
Yeah. Yeah. And baboons. Yeah, oh yeah, and he chased them out the room.
Baboons, I've heard baboons will bite your face off.
Oh yeah,
like with one bite, your face is gone.
Absolutely,
right? You know what I mean? That's I ain't messing with no baboon. If I got what you make, what you put together, I gotta have. Look, I gotta be 25 feet away.
Listen. Yeah. Could you imagine that room service call right there,
bro? It's crazy.
Excuse
me.
Give me 1 second.
I got the front desk. Hey, I got 3 adult-sized baboons outside my window eating everything out of my refrigerator. What?
Let it be. Hey, sometimes you gotta just let things go. You gotta just let it be what it is.
You're right. Like you said, I would have been in the hallway too. That's where I would have been.
So if that's not shocking enough, I think the next Next most shocking thing, we get up the next morning, it's beautiful. The sun rises, you see all the tropical birds. They're transiting the airport. We go, a couple of us needed to get cleaned up. So we go to the local barbershop. This dude, now mind you, there's no regular electricity as we know it, okay? The barber is cutting hair with a comb and a razor blade. There's no clippers.
That's that old school. That's
This cat is talking about some of the most solid fades I've ever seen with a comb and a razor blade and a brush. And I'm watching this, and I'm thinking to myself, and mind you, I'm only, again, 5-6 years removed from being in New York. I'm like, nah. This can't be. I mean, but the fades were so tight. So going to countries like that, Turkey, another third world, bona fide third world country, it makes you appreciative of being an American. Don't get me wrong. We got our problems in America. Right. We do. Absolutely. Right? 100%. Especially a black man living in America. But I'm going to tell you, just from my experiences and my travels, I wouldn't want to live nowhere else. Now, you asked me some of the benefits and some of the differences between, that I've seen in my travels. That's probably one of them. I think you need to go to another country to appreciate what you have.
Right.
Again, we're not perfect here. We know the history, especially last 500 years. And you know where I'm going with this, right?
Right.
But I think considering what it could be someplace else in the economy and the conditions that us as black people live on, even on a continent that we were born and raised, really, and I'll just say that, right, for lack of deep explanation, it's just amazing to me.
So yeah,
friends of what you gonna say?
Yeah, so I want to because like we said early that
Preston, is that a eye drop on your nose? Like I can't.
The light is.
This is you throwing me off. You're destroying me with this.
the light was giving me a little teardrop on my nose. But,
all right. So, blame it on the light. Blame it on the light.
You see, it ain't there no more.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and man, so let's jump ahead a little bit, because that hour go by real fast, man.
I understand, brother.
I know your history, man. So this can go on for the next 7 hours,
easy.
Right? You know what I mean? Because there's so many stories that we should talk about in the passenger seat, taking turns on who gonna take the report. Right? We have to do. So let's jump ahead to Wichita.
Okay.
Right. All right.
Okay.
You get out the Air Force.
Got out the military.
You're doing reserve still at McConnell.
Right. And I was a cop simultaneously. I was also working 3 other jobs at the time.
Now you had an opportunity to apply in Vegas for Vegas PD.
I did.
Is that correct?
Correct.
It didn't work out because of it just
the wife
situation said
the family. Sure.
No, right?
Sure.
How did you end up in Wichita?
So
being the police in Wichita.
My initial job that brought me to Wichita was an aircraft dispatcher, being an FAA aircraft dispatcher. And all that means is I can go into deep explanation. Let me just give you a bridge version. So kind of like what I did in the Air Force, they need what they call, each pilot needs, I don't care where you go, what airline you fly for, the station that you're at has to get what they call a dispatch release sent to them before the pilot can take off. That's what my job is. My job is to send that dispatch release to the station that they're departing from, so that the pilot has all the information he needs to get to his next destination, and or what they call his alternate, right? So it includes the weather, it includes his flight plan, it includes his weight and balance for the aircraft. And in a nutshell, that's pretty much all he needs in order to leave. That's the job I did when I first got to Wichita. It was okay. In order for me to have more, I couldn't do it. The family at the time, it was just not going to do with my lifestyle at the time. So I wanted to do something else to make just a tad bit more money, believe it or not. The police department at the time was hiring. So I said, you know what? I was going through a divorce. That's the only reason why I got the green light to do it. Always wanted to do it. I'm kind of getting up there in my early 30s at the time. I said, you know what? Let me give it a shot. Pretty much that's all she wrote. The 3 years went by. I was doing the contract work came up, and from there, I made to go overseas. But yeah, that 3 years, that initial 3 years of law enforcement, that's how I made the transition to get into it.
So you did your 3 years in Wichita, like I did. I just came I came almost a year after you started, and then
Right.
We worked Patrol North, which is the north end of Wichita, Kansas, off of 21st and was it Hillside?
Hillside. Yeah.
And so the working in Wichita was completely different than working in like Champaign-Urbana area, right? Because it was more like I told them when I first got started. You took the report, you got the meat and potatoes, and you sent that plate up.
Yep.
You didn't, follow up with the dressings, the sides, and whatnot, right?
Because most of y'all do the investigations yourselves, right? Isn't that how it works?
You do a lot of them yourself. Kale, now Kale's still doing it, right? So do you still like get ticklers and things to follow up on your cases?
Yeah, you pretty much follow the leads, man, as far as they'll go, and then if there's something further that needs more, in-depth investigation, then it goes to an investigation division.
And so we would do that, right? So a domestic, for instance, if the person wasn't there, we just wrote it up, and if it was going to be more than a page long, then we had to dictate it. We had to speak it into a phone. We had to call a number, speak it into a phone, and
bringing back bad memories, bro.
and somebody else would type it up.
Oh.
Later, right? And we're like, here, you just type, you do the whole report, right?
Yeah, that's kind of cheating, though. You get to call somebody and they type it for you, like.
But well, the problem was
a lot of it is technology also. So now you guys, everything is digitalized. Back then, we were still writing them.
We hand wrote it.
We wrote them, and we were still using whiteout. It was
look at privilege up top. Look at no! I would never. I would never.
We had to draw out the accident reports, like you had to actually draw it out, and if it was supposed to be to scale, you had to use the little inch thing and say this is in relations to this.
And that's to show you, that's to show you how far they've come in terms of technology. And we were on a cusp. So they were just kind of introducing it at the time that he and I were on here in Wichita. I want to say probably because I used to keep up with the officers here. Within about a year or two after that, they did away with the papers and the forms, and they went straight to the CAD, to the digitalized form. You typed it up in your patrol car, and you printed it off and sent it to the inside the station. You printed it off and you were done. You still had to submit it. All the processes were the same. To me personally, I think they overworked here. That's why they didn't have the time here to be able to do all the investigative work. So we wrote it up, boom, sent it up upstairs to the fourth floor thing, and they took care of everything else.
So jumping ahead, because we're gonna run out of time here real quick. Jumping ahead to you deciding to take that uniform off, to go to these contracts, right? To do these overseas contracts. Me and you talked about it a lot because I was still with, and I'm still with my family, right, at the time.
Right.
And the issue I had was I didn't want to leave them. Right. Where you had younger kids as well.
Correct.
But separated from the mother.
We were divorced, yeah.
And you made the decision because your mom was in Wichita at the time.
Correct.
And
yep.
Your brother was in Wichita at the time, and
well, back and forth. He was in the Army at the time. He was active duty Army at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yardies.
Correct.
And you decided to go do it, right? So when you went, we stayed in contact, right? We be hitting each other or whatever. And like, man, bro, you I don't know if you can say this, if you're comfortable with saying it, but their first contract, are you allowed to say what your tax-free was and then what your
it's nothing. It's nothing too secret. I can say this: everything is tax free up until about, and back then it was still sub 100,000. Now it's up to 103.5. So everything up to 103,500 is tax free. Everything after that is taxed. So yeah, that's just the way it is, and that's a federal law. So
and where does one that doesn't want to do the PPP scams, where does one apply for this scam?
Well,
where does
where
does one do that at? Because not we, but those people are finding situations, and I just want to spread the love and joy
I understand
around for those people.
And here at the Perspective 217, we are not promoting any of the PPE scams.
We ain't.
You have to find it on your own time.
Right,
Not the
right.
Perspective
Because you're going to
217.
jail. Because you're
Right.
going to jail.
Going to jail.
We
jail.
we're trying to help you get legit ways
Right.
of doing things.
Legit
So-
government contracts. That,
Correct.
Go ahead, yeah.
And I have a tax team. A lot of us do. So, you don't get caught with your pants down. That's one of the big
There you
things.
go.
You got to make sure that you got your I's dotted and T's crossed, because Uncle Sam, the way he works, if you owe him, he's taking it right away. If he owes you, he'll take a couple years. So, being that I've worked for him for so long, I understand the laws and the bylaws. So that's never an issue, thank God. What was I going to say? So that was the first thing. I came back and I left, and from now, this prior January to 10 years prior to that, I've been doing the same thing. So I've been blessed. Do I look at it as a blessing and a curse? You could. And I might as well tell you now, P, you and I were talking, you were just here a couple of weeks ago. I got the green light. I'll be going to Jordan probably within the next 3 weeks. So I'll be in Amman, Jordan.
You ain't say Georgia. You said Jordan.
Jordan.
That's
Right.
correct. Yeah, Amman, Jordan. So that's right next door to Israel. It geographically, if you're kind of familiar with what's going on over here right now, it's kind of along the lines of what I did in Afghanistan. Same job, but I'll be on the actual Air Force base this time. No NATO. It'll be all straight U.S. So,
And no baboons, right?
man, no baboons.
Now, how long are these contracts?
12 months at a time. So this time, more than likely, that's all I'll do. Let me back up just a little bit. I wasn't supposed to be home now. So when I came home in January, it was because the last contract I had got cut short. I typically work for the Air Force. The Army got involved. They made everybody else go home. Army didn't want to deal with the headaches that came along with running an actual runway and the aviation side. So what they said was, well, no, you can leave. We'll give the Air Force side of things back to the Afghanis. And let's just say it cut me out of about 6 figures. I was kind of counting on that money.
Right.
Of course.
So it brought me home a little bit sooner than anticipated. I immediately, threw my name in the hat for my next gig. It just landed here 4 or 5 months later. So, but I won't be in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is shutting down. I don't know if you guys keep up with the news. They're sending all the troops home. All the troops will be home and will be gone out of Afghanistan by September. My people are coming home June, July, something like that. So, long story short, I'm headed to Jordan, and we'll see. It won't be as much money, but it'll give me some breathing room to kind of figure out what my next move is going to be.
And outside of I just want to say this because I think it's extremely important to point out. Again, outside of the money part, being in these different countries, these different places, like places that you never would have thought that you would ever be.
Correct.
Like, how does that feel? Like, how does it feel to be like, because coming from my background, I'm looking at my grandma, they migrated from the South.
Right.
And they just came up here. But
Correct.
Going to different places, different countries, like, how does that feel to you to be able to say, hey, I've been in Afghanistan, I've been to Jordan, I've been to these different places? Like, how does it feel to say that?
It was crazy. Everybody's normal is different, right? As a police officer, I would tell somebody a typical day for me, it'll blow their mind. That's just a normal day for me, though.
Right.
I get into my patrol car. I'll do 5 or 6 or 7 different calls. Half of them would be, DVs. I do a couple of accidents. I may run a couple of miscellaneous reports. I may run up to Walmart and catch a dope head trying to get a little bit more of the that cold medicine that they needed to make the meth. That's a normal day for me, right? That was the normal for me. The large majority of my adult life, I traveled to places like Dubai. I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
In order for me to transit and to get to these places like Afghanistan and Jordan, I have to stop in Dubai. Sometimes for a week, sometimes 3 weeks.
Because that's the
Tough
connect.
life.
That's the connection flight. Am
Tough
I
life,
right?
man? God, that's
it's so
gotta be
so
tough.
tough there.
Oh my
staying in
goodness!
a
But for
place
me-
like that.
For me-
let me say something though. We're promoting the positives, which Yen has been promoting it too. But
Yeah.
I've been there the whole time with Yen, right? So I hear the times when he's missing his kids.
Right.
I hear the times when he's missing, some of the things that he wanted to do. So
Fact.
so there was a lot of sacrifice.
Oh, absolutely,
with
absolutely.
him, right? That I would be like, man, dang, Yen.
So
go ahead.
So let me on that note, I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. So I would be lying if I said the monetary side of things wasn't partly motivated me to do it. I'd be lying. You go from being a cop making, I might bring home 45 grand if I'm lucky.
Before I came, right?
Right. My very first contract, and I'll leave it here. Right. It got, let's just say it grew over the years. But my initial contract, my very first contract, I made $125,000 and my bonus was 18 grand. Okay.
Say less.
The first thing in my mind, other than buying the Denali, the first thing I had to do, I told myself, I gotta make this count. I got somehow, some way, I gotta make this count. So 2 of the check boxes were putting my 2 oldest kids through college. It was that was my 2 priorities more than anything else. Okay. Putting them through college. I looked at a $429K for both of them. I started that way back in 2004. By the time they graduated from college, and they both did, one just past December and one May of 2018, they both graduated from college.
Salute.
They didn't have one dime, and I didn't get any scholarships. I didn't get any loans. I didn't get it. Now I did, but I did not mean. I made sure. Me and my ex-wife, she's an air traffic controller who works in Charlotte now. She was here in Wichita for a while. She makes 6 figures as well. So we were asked, if I could say asked out of luck, okay, in order to be able to get any kind of government funding for the kids. So we had to pay all that out of pocket. So I'll give you, my daughter graduated from Johnston & Wales in downtown Charlotte. Okay. So it's a private school, $16,000 a semester. Okay. She had to do that for 3 years. We took care of all of it ourselves. Her friends who graduated, and this is when it really hit me. Her friends that graduated from school, $107,000, $85,000, $95,000. Her, zero.
That's it.
So for me, in regard to them, I had to give something back to them. Now,
Yes,
I can't,
right.
and like I told them recently, I've only been back home. I've spent the last 20 months up until January 20 because of COVID. I've been out of the country. I spent the last 20 months overseas for the first time in my last 10 years. Prior to that, every 4 to 6 months, I'd come home. But when I got home, I told them, I can't get back that time. We can't repair our relationship. It was never damaged per se, but it wasn't normal. Goes back to what I was just talking about. It wasn't normal for us. Thank God for technology. You know, we had the Skype and we had FaceTime and all that good stuff. You can't make up for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, yeah, and I want to ask you this too, brother. When you were out of the country for that time, man, during COVID, like how was that experience? Was it as prevalent as it is here as far as the number of deaths and daily people being affected? Was it that prevalent there, or was it?
The military has a thing. They always take things to the umpteenth level, right? If the precautions and the protocol tell you to do one thing, they multiply that by 10. So the casualties and the deaths weren't as deep because you got to remember our population is still relatively small. So, but their quarantine game was serious. The military quarantine game, if you even if you had symptoms early on, so we're talking when it first jumped off, let's go February to about April of 2020. If you even had symptoms of COVID, they shipped you out. They put you on a plane and they sent your ass. You either went to Long Stool. They had various locations that were taking in suspected COVID cases. And then later on, they got a hold of it. When I left, I want to say in that year, we probably only had maybe 200, 250 deaths, maybe total. I'll say 300 just to kind of round it off, but that was it. Compared to the masses, it's not a whole lot, but still, we only had, well, when I left, we probably had about 10 to 12,000 people total on the base, if that. So it was still relatively low. And remember, people caught it but didn't die from it. So there was that as well. But the precautions were absolutely the same. Like they took the same protocol, and the test. You know, they had the test ramped up pretty heavy. Before I left, I probably took 7-8 COVID tests before I left, bro. It was insane. But yeah, they stood on their word, and they made sure everybody was at the very least tested. So
Yin, so we all have contact with a lot of different people out in the community. Aaron has his A Squared podcast that he does that's based out of Atlanta, right? I mean, because Atlanta with his cousin.
Yep.
And they talk about a lot of good stuff and put out a lot of good information. How could especially our younger community, our younger African American male community at that, there's other ways to go get money than go out there and get it out the mud.
Right.
How could they prepare themselves to go and see part of the world? You know what I mean? You weren't in jungles except for that baboon situation. But most of the time you were in decent areas, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You weren't and making good money. You just, if you don't have a lot of kids or if your children are young, how could these young people go out and explore some of this?
Outside of thinking about because with our community, we're always thinking sports. Right. We always thinking entertainment.
Right.
Is the only way for us to get out of wherever we are. So I think it is important, Preston, you saying that it is important for us to think outside of that small box.
Sure.
Yeah.
So my thing is, and this is what I tell my kids as well, right? I'll use myself as an example. I didn't finish college. College wasn't for me. I never finished my degree. It just was something that never clicked. I made sure my kids went to school though, right? And it's because their generation, you almost have to have it in order to excel to some degree, right? You almost have to have, but there's ways around that even today. And so getting a trade, learning a trade is not as hard. And they are, if you don't come from a financial background to where your parents can afford to send you to school, there's so many grants and loans out there right now, they are literally throwing it at people. Now, I say that with some reluctance because you have to pay that back. Some of them, right? But it's at least attaining that education. And it can come from a couple different ways. And my personal experience, obviously, I come from a military background, okay? The military ain't necessarily for everybody. It ain't, right? But would I recommend it, especially some of these kids who are lost? A lot of, absolutely I would. It may not be the route that you want to go, but I would absolutely recommend it because here's the deal. You can also get an education from that as well. Right. Both formal and informal. They'll pay for school, right? And a lot of people forget that. I think that the media and social media has made it to where they shun so much on the military from a negative light. A lot of kids don't look at that as an option, but it absolutely should be.
And there's the National Guard.
Absolutely.
Like there's different venues. Absolutely, yeah.
For sure.
Right.
So I hold that high. I didn't retire from the military, but it gave me a skill that's allowed me to survive and thrive. Right? For the last out of, let's see, 10, let's go 15, let's go the last 20 years of my life. 15 out of the last 20 years of my life, I've made over 6 figures. And I don't have a degree. And it's allowed me to go places and see things that I can tell you only a small percentage of the U.S. citizens have ever had an opportunity to do. Bottom line. And could I have done more? Absolutely. But I know I could have done a lot worse. So I thank God. You know, I'm not a devout Christian, but I am very spiritual. I do believe in God. I think that he's guided me through a lot of my decisions that I've made to get me to this point. You know what I mean? But so to get back to your original question, because y'all gonna get me going. So definitely I would look at the military. I think that it's something that needs to be promoted. Find a trade. Trade school is something that's so underappreciated, right? And undervalued. Becoming an electrician, becoming, you know, a foreman, hell, or ultimately learning to put up drywall. Like construction is still, especially now with the housing market and the way things are, find a trade. Find a trade. Because at the end of the day, you got to pay for those tickets in order to be able to get overseas.
That's a fact. And construction, they've been working on 57 North in Chicago. They've been working on that for 35 years.
And they gonna continue to work on that.
And the lights be on after 6 and 7. They still out there working. So you can't get it.
So but like if they wanted to pursue a overseas contract, like how would they go about looking into that? Like is that something that they can look for, or they have to be contacted?
Yes and no. So here's the deal, and it's kind of involved, but it's not. My personal experience again comes from a military background, so for me it's almost automatic, right? But if you don't come from that kind of background, it's not impossible. But you have to understand, like most other things nowadays in corporate America, you have to network your way into those jobs. So the initial one, I'll give you a perfect example. KBR is a huge company. You'll probably start out, if you don't have any kind of military background, you won't make a lot of money initially. Do yourself a favor while you're there, though. You can still go to school. You can still use that money to fund your future, right? So go to school, network your way to other jobs. I have a friend, he started out as a cook. He was flipping burgers. Ultimately, he worked his way to ITT because he got his certifications for becoming a network engineer. And now he's making more money for me with the with what they call the PTIDs. Okay, the PTIDs are the balloons that they use to have cameras all over it. He's making $220,000 living in I think Kuwait right now. And he started off making.
What does a cook make over there though? Like when you say not a lot of money,
you're making. Because I make a mean shish kebab. Just need to know.
You'll start out probably making between $50,000 and $75,000.
As a cook.
As a cook, right? All tax free.
And you get to see another. You get to live in another land.
But okay, so that's the positive. The negative is you're working every day.
Right.
12, 16 hours a day. And I will tell you, the living conditions ain't always all of that great, right? But it's about making a sacrifice. And if you want to drive a message home to our young people now, is you got to grind. You got to grind. You got to work for that. It's not going to be handed to you. A lot of them with this entitlement mentality. This, you know, I struggle with that. So you have to cut through that first in order to get the message to them.
I think about all the sacrifice that my grandmother made when she fried up that chicken when we was growing up.
Yep.
And the sacrifice in the where we felt we deserved her fried chicken. And now I think about that now. I think she could have been making $75,000 for the chicken that we was eating.
Yes.
And the special batter that she still to this day has not given us the recipe for.
That's a fact.
You know what? We gotta respect our elders and love on them. We gotta love on our people. We gotta love on our people.
You know, there's so much wisdom to draw from those generations behind us. It's insane. But above anything else, they knew what work ethic was all about. They knew what it was to sweat. They knew what it was to grind, and they I say that they never complained. They never complained in front of us.
Salute,
Right.
man. For real.
You see what I'm saying?
I love it.
So yeah, how do we make the military attractive to the youth?
Well,
I mean, I think everybody here has either been served or come from a military background in their family or something, somehow or another.
Yeah.
But how do we make that attractive here in 2021 to youth? Because of course, they see these, they see everything on these news
Right.
stations, and it's war
Right.
here and killing and all that.
Right.
And some of that, yeah, when you sign up, you are expected to possibly do that, but
that's a fact.
there's a lot more pros than there is cons. How do we make that attractive though to the youth?
It's tough. I'm not going to lie to you. I have two of my own, which right now, okay, let me put things, and I hate to keep using the term perspective, but I'm just going to use it.
No, use it.
Please
Please
use
do.
perspective.
So
You use
This is
it.
your perspective on the perspective.
I'll give you my perspective. So my oldest child, she'll be 27 in August, okay, and my oldest son is about to be 23 the end of June, okay.
Mhm.
They both are equipped right now to become officers in any branch that they choose right now, okay. Recently we've had a couple of family trips, and we were in long drives. They don't want no parts of the military, zero.
Right.
But I hate to say it, and it's partly my fault, they're spoiled, right? So for them, they have no need. There's nothing motivating them in order to go that route. They figure they have a degree. They have parents who help them out whenever they need. For me and for a lot of you, we didn't really have that. Like, we had to grind our way out the house. You see what I'm saying? And so for me, to them, what I told them was, if you want to see the world, be paid for it and get paid more than, a chief master sergeant in the military, in any branch, right? What's wrong with joining the military? My son's response, excuse my French, oh, hell no, nah. I'm not going to do that. You got to be out your mind. Do you watch the news? First thing they say. They say, right? So it's trying to destroy all of the taboos, right? Like so many other things in our society.
Like law enforcement, right?
Like law enforcement.
Say that about
Same thing.
You have to destroy. You have to break those barriers down. Now, I'm not done with my speech, right?
Right.
And my feeling is this: I know how life is. I know how life works. But like my aunt who passed away years ago, she told me about my brother's first marriage. Tell him everything you know about her. Because when it's all said and done, it crashes and burns, he can never come back to you and say, you never told me. Oh, yes, I did. Oh, I told you.
Right.
I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink it.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it's unfortunate because that's your heart. You work hard, you want to raise these kids, and you're not going to be able to reach all of them. So the only thing I can say is ask them what they want out of life. And how are they going to actually make it to that point?
Respect.
How many times have we had people in the back of our patrol car, right? Gangbangers. And I used to have the same speech every time. If you're willing to deal with the consequences that come along with that lifestyle, I got nothing to say.
Right. Because there ain't nothing you can say. Because they're content with the outcome, whichever outcome is going to be, right? They're content about it. Like Kel said last week, they're just like, whatever, right? You know what I mean? This can lead you to this, whatever.
Until what? Until they get locked up.
Until they in that back of the car.
Smack really hit, right?
And that's the same thing with me. When I drive Uber, I'd be like, look, you better do what you got to do to continue and hold on to your Uber account, because you're gonna end up
white van.
You're gonna end up
still driving that white van, man. People didn't called on him. Man, look, I don't know if it's an Uber driver or not.
He called them clients. Will they really be kidnapped?
I'm like, if you keep acting up in my Uber vehicle, which is a luxury vehicle, if you will, you're going to end up riding in Lyft. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to ride in Lyft. They taking you from Birch Village, the hood, the worst parts of our town, to the worst areas. Now, we don't want to do that.
Right.
So I feel y'all when y'all be saying, when you talking to drug dealers and all those people,
oh yeah,
I be arresting people every day.
Man,
I'll just
crazy.
be taking them to different
You
places.
take it to a different spot. You say, hey, put your mask on and don't touch nothing.
This
Right?
is all I'm doing. This is
Just
the
sit down,
perspective.
shut up, and enjoy the ride.
This
Man.
the perspective 217.
Man,
Right. Hey, so we got about 15 more minutes as far as we're gonna go. Yeah, and I want to ask you, man. So, coming from New York,
yep.
I know your family, so I know the foundation that was put forth, right?
Right.
Going from the military to law enforcement, right? As a black and blue, you know what I mean? Because that's really a thing, right?
Oh, fact. Yeah.
And then going overseas and making legal good money.
Right.
Now come back home, you know, for this 5 months,
Right.
with everything going on, everything coming to light, right? Because I
Right.
mean, there was law enforcement's changed a lot
Oh.
since we were there. Because
Oh.
I mean, you ran. There was the payment comes due,
That's a
right?
fact.
You know what I mean? Back then,
Yes, sir.
right? Where now, you know what I mean? You can't really do that payment come due, right? You know what I mean? It's a different type. So when law enforcement gets behind you now,
hmm
or you driving past or whatever, right?
Right.
How do you feel knowing you ain't out there slanging no dope? You know what I mean?
Sure.
You don't drink like that. You know what I
Right.
mean? You drink. You know what I mean? We all sip a little bit, but you don't drink like that, right?
Right.
Clean and sober.
And how do you feel now with seeing everything on social media? How does it make
Sure.
you feel?
The transition's been crazy. And I ain't gonna lie to you. In some ways good, in some ways bad. You have to be careful. You know, a lot of my connection back to the US when I'm over there is through social media.
Mhm.
So I see all the, you know, like y'all were talking about earlier. It's gonna be a bloody summer, right? And you see all I watch the George Floyds, I watch the, you know, Breonna Taylors, I watch the you know, all of the, let's say, less than favorable contact that people that look like me have had with the police. So the good with that is that, or I don't want to call it the good, but the insight that I have is different than most people, because the general public doesn't understand how law enforcement works. Like, they don't understand the rules and regulations. They don't understand the policies and procedures. So a lot of times I have to educate people as they're watching and cursing at the TV, talking about how bad and jacked up law enforcement is. It's not always cut and dry. Recently, when this young girl, a 15-year-old, had the knife and she was about to stab the young lady, and this cop had to shoot her, you know, he had about 2 seconds to respond. People don't understand what it's like to show up on the scene with massive chaos, and you've got a half a second to respond, and everybody wants to be the Monday morning quarterback, right? And they think that they know. He was damned if he did, damned if he didn't. Bottom line. And I try to explain to people, if he didn't shoot her, the girl who would have died from that knife wound, there would have been some repercussions.
Absolutely.
Right. And I knew what was going on. Everybody wants to, because he's white and she's black, they want to make this thing. So, not to get too far off the subject, but that's kind of part of it. And so my insight is a little bit different. I do respect the blue, even though I know there's only a few bad apples that spoil in the bunch, right? I do know that. I've met some good, I've met some bad, but at the same time, you know, I'm not going to lie. That's part of why I couldn't really finish off my law enforcement career. It was tough for me to do. That was a very hard. So once I had the opportunity to leave and go elsewhere, part of me felt selfish because I felt like I probably could have made a difference. But then part of me was like, look, this, at the end of the day, this isn't about you saving the world, unfortunately. Right.
Right.
So I had to make my decisions, and that's when the whole contract thing. But coming back home has been tough. I haven't had any run-ins. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm more concerned with the citizens than I am the cops. You know,
Right.
there's a lot of
Me
crazy
too.
people out there, and you know,
Right.
I do what I have to do to protect myself and my family. So I've kind of do things I wouldn't have done maybe 15, 20 years ago. I'm not in the clubs. I'm not out there. You know, I get in, I get out, I do my thing, stay out the way, stay in my lane, I keep it moving. You know, I keep it pushing. So It's just different coming home. So when I tell somebody, it's been weird because I've had to deal with people on a regular basis. And I tell somebody I've been gone out the country for the last 10 years, and the last 2 years I haven't been in the United States. They look at me like I'm an alien, from another planet. So it's just
that beard when you came back.
The
his
jihadist
beard look like
the jihadist beard.
Yeah, jihad, right? I mean,
yeah.
he was all he needed was a turban. He would have been at it, bro.
And I've been told that I don't know how many times. If I had a nickel for every time somebody told me I could pass for one of them, man, I'd probably be. I have another contract money underneath my belt. But yeah, it's been cool. I mean, for me, seeing my kids every day, being able to travel and move around a little bit, that's been cool. I haven't really been pressed for that much the last 4 or 5 months. It's been a really long, nice vacation. But I really haven't had no issues with the cops, man. In fact, some of the old guys want to get to the range, and we were supposed to do a couple of things, which I still might do before I leave. But COVID, everything you see on the news has kind of kept you remember, you stay in condition yellow, right? I'm not too high, I'm not too low. That comes from my military days, that comes from my law enforcement days. It's kind of groomed. I'm a little different now. I don't leave the house, and I don't know if I can say this. I don't leave the house without my heat.
Right. It's you got the right to carry. So
right.
Speaking of that,
right,
you led me right into the last 9 minutes.
Sure.
We're gonna talk a little bit about so you have a little more expendable income than some of us. And so you have built up a nice you build
I do
weaponry.
I
right,
do.
You know what I mean, and kind of you what they call them, customize them and things of that nature as well. When I was just there not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I got to see your armory, right?
Sure.
That's what I'm gonna call it, right? Because it ain't just a few, right? You have an armory.
Sure.
Do you have a couple that we can kind of see and give us a short?
Yeah. So I have a couple of things that I've put together. So this, I don't know if you can see. This is one of them.
I assume that's safe, right? The way you
it is, of course. You know me.
I feel it's safe, if you will.
You know me.
Yeah.
Can you see inside the chamber? It's empty.
Yes, it's empty.
Okay. No magazine. Magazine's empty.
Got
okay. So this is one of them. It took me a little bit to put together. I got a few things tomorrow. I'm gonna go see my guy. I got to get this removed for the extended magazines. I'm gonna install it. This is what they call a comp, right? Keeps the gun flat when I shoot. This is a red dot. I'm getting old. My eyes are old. This comes in really, really handy. I have a light at the end. This is probably some of the stuff that the SWAT guys probably carry. I've always kind of drooled over, but never could really get my hands on one, but now I build them. So, that's
Did you do the paint?
And this is, what's that?
Did you do the paint on it too?
What's that?
The paint on it. Did you
one
paint
more time.
it? Did you paint it too?
So this was a custom slide I got done. So this is a guy that I know that I befriended on Instagram. He has a shop. It's called Boogeyman Customs, and he was running a special. I was still overseas when I reached out to him. He gave me a killer deal. I got my brother hooked. He built a couple now. So I throw him some business. I mean, he's doing well. Don't get me wrong. He don't need me, but I like his stuff. And kind of piece that together. So that was originally a $700 Glock because a guy by the name of Larry Vickers built the original gun, and all I did was I took parts out of it and I added to it. This is a compensator from a company called Parker Mountain Machinery. This is an X300. I know you guys have seen this on the department.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Trijicon red dot. They call it an RMR. I have some suppressor height sights, so I can see if this ever fails me, I can see my sights through that window. And I got a custom trigger. So that's from a company called Overwatch Precision. It's got what they call a stipple job. So they run that across the machine. They put undercuts on here so I can grip the gun easier to get underneath to point the firearm. That was one. And this is another one. So this is what they call a 300 blackout. This shoots the same cartridge as a little different. So it's a 30 caliber.
And when we see the bolts open, there's nothing inside. We can see that.
Correct.
Right.
And I'll drop
You
the
ain't got to
magazine.
keep on saying that. Ain't nobody in that room but
It's
him.
the perspective.
Ain't nobody in that room. And also, we are being extremely safe here, if you will,
Right.
ladies
Absolutely.
and gentlemen.
Right. And he can't help it. It's part of him. I was explaining to the fellas earlier that this is actually a pistol. And what makes this different than another gun I have behind me is that I don't have to pay the government an extra $200 in order to own this firearm. It's less than 16 inches. So the barrel on this gun is only 10.3 inches. And so normally if I want to have a stock, I have to get what they call a tax stamp. So once I get a tax stamp through the government, I can put a stock on it and it would probably look a little something like this one. Oh, so this one is actually tax stamp. Same thing. Well, the bolt is not back on this one, but this one is also empty, bolts back, no ammo. And so I had to pay the government in order to own this firearm $200 because of the stock, because I actually can have a stock. So there's a serial number on this gun that's registered through the federal government ATF, which makes this a legal gun to own, but you have to have that with you at all times to make sure if they ever question you, you can show that you're legalized. What's the difference between this and like an M4? It's just shorter. So, for instance, I haven't done it to that gun, but I will. I can fold this up. I gotta drop the bolt. Hold on. So, and put this in a backpack and take this with me.
Okay.
That's what makes it
Mean.
Yeah. Yep. So those are just a few of my toys. I got a bunch of others. Pete came by. He saw the collection, and that's just a sample. So
The plethora. Yeah.
That's a sample. When I say a sample, bro, I mean it's a sample. Like
well, and the deal is, and I try to explain to people is that owning firearms, and especially on this level, is it's kind of pricey. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's an expensive hobby. Because you got to remember, it's not only owning them, it's shooting them. I don't believe in owning safe queens. So I'm at the range. I've probably been to the range about 10 times since I've been home, just putting rounds through my guns. The way ammo is right now,
it's expensive.
it's hard to get a hold of.
Hard to find.
Right.
The blessing that I've done, and I didn't even know, it was just things that pointers that were told to me when I first started, was that buy the ammo while it's cheap. So without disclosing how much I have, I'm okay. So that was part of it. That was part of it.
Yeah, you say you okay. That means a lot.
So
That means a lot.
we got
quite a bit. So
we got a little less than 3 minutes left. Yin. So I really want to take this time to tell you thank you, bro. I appreciate you coming on and kind of giving us a different type of insight, right? You know what I mean? Because this is a community show. I mean, we talk about policing a little bit, but this is more about a different lifestyle, right? You know, about going and spending time in other places that and have an opportunity to get paid to do it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You know, Kale, you and Kale are like, you know, you, Kale, and T are my three guys that you know, my ride or dies, right? You know what I mean? And the crazy part about it, you two both are in law enforcement. Have been in law enforcement, and you were in it before I got in it. Kale came in after I got in it,
right?
And but we all understand what it's like to be black and blue.
Oh, right? For sure.
You know what I mean? And it's not that phrase. I used to dismiss it because I'd be like, nah, man, you know, I don't want to be black and blue. I just want to be, you know what I mean? I want to be the police and I want to be a black male. I want to separate the two.
Right, you can't.
But you can't do it, right? And the more and more people we talk to, especially our minority law enforcement, everybody understands that now.
Oh yeah, it just comes along to territory, and I think to me, I tip my hat to those who've done it long term. You, Kel, I tip my hat to y'all because I know what it's like, right? I had an out, and I don't even want to call it an out. I just had an opportunity to do something a little bit different. And where I was in life at the time, I had to make a decision. And I ain't gonna lie to you, it really wasn't that easy. It wasn't as easy as, okay, you're gonna make this amount of money and you're gonna be gone. Because I contemplated coming back. It was just things kept taking me in a different direction. It kept taking me in a different direction. So I took that as, God's way of just saying, you know what? As much as you liked it, it's probably not for you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Kel,
but-
you can tell why me and Yin get along so well. We both talk a lot. Once we get started, it's on and on and on.
You get me all day.
We are at our time. Kel, do you have any closing statements you want to say?
No, sir, brother. Yeah, appreciate you rocking with us, man, and dropping those gems on us, man.
No
Appreciate
doubt.
it.
Anytime. Y'all
Thank
want me
you.
back, I'll come back anytime.
And because of internet, even when you're over in Jordan, we want to get you back on,
For
man.
sure.
Just kind of talk about some updates.
Oh, yeah.
Now I know you can't give no
detailed information about the mission, right? But
right.
I could absolutely come on though. Yeah.
Aaron, do you have any? Since you're back on after 2 years, do you have? Any?
I think I'm good. I want to appreciate you guys. I want to say I appreciate you guys for again the three amigos getting back together then having on this gentleman right here. This right here is a charger to the new bazooka that I just ordered. And I will talk about this for on the next episode. Is a bazooka charger? It goes in. We'll talk about that on the next one. And it does a lot of things, and it is custom made as well. And this is the light. I have a light that is you wear this on your head. You wear this light on your head, right. And that's
security
to make sure that this is good. And then this is a towel that you can get in specific areas of the country.
Right.
And what you do is you wipe your head on this. For those who are bald, like me, I'm bald. You gotta dap it. Don't wipe it. You gotta dap it. And then also. This is.
Are we over our time? Yeah, maybe like a minute over our time.
Am I doing too much sanitation? You just squirt this on your hand to wipe to make sure that you are clean. And then I have this last thing right here, which is gloves.
So P, you got the power to be able to cut this at any point in time.
These are the gloves that you wear.
We probably won't do it again for another 2 years. So I wanted to let him get his.
I want to let y'all know I'm prepared. I am prepared.
It looks like it. It looks like it.
Hey,
I love it.
Again, man. I'll be talking to you soon, man. I'm glad that you got the contract. And I know last time I talked to you, you were working on it.
Yeah.
Man, I just appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you
a little bit, right?
We appreciate
so everybody,
thank you.
It's the Perspective 217. Another great show.
And we out of here.
Be easy, man.
We out.
Peace.